Bombshell after bombshell at the Trump criminal trial in Manhattan. As a critical witness, Keith Davidson testified. He represented Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, and it was an absolute disaster for Donald Trump there. But what Donald Trump is focused on is this. Here is what he has just posted. Contrary to the fake news media, I don't fall asleep during the crooked DA's witch hunt, especially not today. I simply close my beautiful blue eyes, sometimes listen intensely, and take it all in. How bizarre of a statement is that? This individual is really unwell. Just for reference, here's what some of the reporters have been saying about Donald Trump continuing to fall asleep. This is Lisa Rubin and Alan Smith. Trump appears to have fallen asleep while listening to testimony, at times appearing to stir and then falling back to sleep. Trump's eyes were closed for extended periods and his head has at times jerked in a way consistent with sleeping. Here's one from Frank Runyon. Now, Trump's head slowly dropped, his eyes closed, it jerked back upward. He adjusts himself, then his head droops again. He straightens up, leaning back, his head dupes or drops for a third time. He shakes his shoulders, eyes closed still. His head drops. Finally, he pops his eyes open. Harry Littman, who is partnered with the MeidasTouch network and is in the courtroom, he reported, now more like a bona fide nap by Trump, asleep for several minutes. And early in the trial, it was Maggie Haberman who first reported this. Trump appears to have fallen asleep in court again. It happened several times just now. His eyes were closed for extended periods and his head dropped down twice. Olivia Nuzzi, who's also in the courtroom, previously described Donald Trump as thus. Trump is tilting his head dramatically and making trout-like movements with his mouth as he listens to Justice Merchan. Folks, let's talk about what went down, though, in trial today. Of course, earlier in the morning, there was another hearing regarding Donald Trump's violation of the gag order. 4 more violations were alleged in this criminal contempt proceeding. Donald Trump was previously held in criminal contempt by Justice Merchan for 9 separate violations of the gag order. Earlier today, Justice Merchan pressed Donald Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, to respond to Donald Trump's remarks about the jury, saying that the jury is unfair, that the jury is 95% Democrat, to which Todd Blanche said that Trump believes that he is facing, quote, a political persecution. Justice Merchan then asks him whether it is a violation of the gag order to make these statements about the jury. Donald Trump's lawyer responds and says no. Blanche says that Donald Trump didn't refer to any specific juror in his remark. Justice Merchan shakes his head and looks at him incredulously. Hat tip to Adam Klasfeld for being in the court with his live tweet updates. He does an incredible job. Also, one of the things that Donald Trump's lawyer complained to Justice Merchan about with a string of exhibits is Michael Cohen's nickname for Donald Trump, calling him, quote, Von Schitz's pants. That has been entered now into the official public record of the trial. Justice Merchan had not yet ruled on the contempt.
Like many of us, you might think identity theft will never happen to you. But consider this. There's a new identity theft victim every 3 seconds in the US. That's over 15 million people by the end of this year. That's equal to the populations of New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago combined. Even worse, identity theft victims often don't even know they're victims. That's why LifeLock Identity Theft Protection alerts you to identity threats, even the ones that don't show up on your credit report, like data breaches, fraudulent bank transactions, loan and credit card applications, and crimes committed in your name. If your identity is stolen, your own dedicated LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. Look, I've recently signed up to LifeLock, and I can't even begin to explain how much better I feel knowing that there's a dedicated specialist looking out for me. We live in a crazy world, and protecting your identity needs to be at the top of your to-do list. LifeLock protects you in ways that you simply can't on your own. Save up to 25% your first year at lifelock.com/Meidas. That's lifelock.com/Meidas to save up to 25%. Identity theft protection starts here.
Now, talking about what was going down with the testimony today from Keith Davidson, some critical moments as well right there. Let's get right to it. So one of the things that the prosecutor asked Keith Davidson, reminder, he was the lawyer for Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, prosecutors asked Davidson about this purported denial from Stormy Daniels of her alleged affair with Donald Trump, to which Davidson responded, well, I think that this is a tactic that is often used in the oftentimes cat and mouse interactions with publicists, attorneys, and the press. So Davidson was showed multiple letters where Stormy Daniels said she didn't have an affair and there was no hush money payments made. And what Davidson said, though, no, it's his understanding that there was a sexual encounter between Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels, but they wanted to wordsmith it that the very short and brief encounter was not an affair and that the compensation was consideration, not hush money payments. So that's how they worded it, as a way to try to avoid acknowledging that a sexual encounter occurred, but then being able to deny it to the press while recognizing that it did occur. And so the prosecutor went over line by line with Keith Davidson, and he explained, no, my understanding is they clearly had an encounter together. It was just, we said it wasn't an affair, like a long-term thing. It wasn't a relationship. And we just said, okay, it was money paid, but not hush money payments. Keith Davidson also recalls a conversation that he had with Michael Cohen, where Cohen was very frustrated that he was not going to be going to Washington, D.C., and saying that Donald Trump had not even paid him back yet. There was the $130,000 that was paid to Stormy Daniels. There was the other official statement from Stormy Daniels where she said no affair and no hush money payments, to which it was explained again by Keith Davidson. We just said no affair. We never said there was no sexual encounter. And we just simply said this was consideration, money paid, but we were saying that it was no hush money payments that was being made. Here's what Donald Trump looked like when he was in the court from a sketch artist. Aaron Rupert talks about this is some nasty work by the sketch artist right there. Davidson said that he's not spinning any stories. He's telling the truth. He's got, he remembers and recalls all of these, and all of these things in detail. One of the things that Keith Davidson also testified to was when he responded to Howard Dillon, who is one of the main executives at AMI, which runs the National Enquirer, when Keith Davidson reacted to Trump winning the election. What have we done? And then Davidson testified, this was sort of gallows humor. It was on election night as the results were coming in. There was a growing sense that people were about to call Trump the winner in the election. The prosecutor then pressed Davidson, what do you mean by gallows humor? Davidson said there was an understanding between him and Howard Dillon and the National Enquirer that their activities, first Davidson said efforts, that their activities may have helped Donald Trump win the campaign. Dylan Howard, who ran AMI, who worked for David Pecker, said, what have we done? Oh my God. And of course, they were involved in these catch and kill schemes together. Another very odd moment during these proceedings was when Donald Trump's lawyer, Susan Nicholas, handed over a stack of news articles from right-wing news commentators and legal analysts like Jonathan Turley that Donald Trump says he wants to post and talk about. And Trump's lawyer handed these to Justice Merchan and said, we would like to post these on, or Trump would like to post these on his social media platform. And the prosecutors were like, what? They're asking the court to make an advanced ruling about Trump posting articles on his social media platform. Justice Merchan said, "I'm not going to give advanced rulings. There's no ambiguity in the gag order. Just don't violate the gag order. Don't talk about witnesses. Don't talk about family members of the court or the district attorney, and don't talk about the jury." It is that simple. On cross-examination of Keith Davidson, Donald Trump's lawyers tried to intimate that Davidson was involved in a shakedown or trying to extort Donald Trump, and whether he thought he was threatening Michael Cohen. And that's really where they went on cross. I thought it was very ineffective, but that's the status of where we are right now. We'll keep you posted with more developments as we learn more. Another devastating witness against Donald Trump. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together, and thank you for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.